Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's marketing training. As usual, we'll give people just a few minutes to trickle in here. But we're talking about a really exciting topic this week, something I'm really passionate about. And those are the 4 mistakes you're making that are causing clients to leave your website. There's a lot of marketing kind of advice and strategy when it comes to your website, and keeping people on your website is, of course, just one part of that. And that's really what we're going to be diving into here today in a little bit more detail than when we talk about just kind of websites in general. So hopefully, as you hang out for this training and think through what's going on, you will see that there are some really actionable things that you can be doing, some changes you can be making on your website in order to be more effective, to ultimately keep people on your website and invite them to go ahead and take the next step with you. So if you're joining me live, as usual, please say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're joining from. If you're catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay into the comments. That will allow me to see any questions you have. Make sure you feel good about these 4 mistakes and the solutions that go along with them. If this is your first time joining us, we have a couple new faces here in the group. My name is Anna Walker. I am a web and marketing strategist for private practitioners, and I am all about helping you get booked out in a way that isn't just effective, because we want you to get clients, but is also authentic to who you are, what makes you individual, what makes your practice unique, and ultimately just the great work that you do. That is what we're all about here. I'm really happy that you're here. And we'll go ahead now and dive into those 4 mistakes that are causing clients to leave your website. Hopefully by now you feel comfortable, you have accepted the fact that your website is your #1 marketing tool in your private practice. In today's modern world, studies of clients looking for therapy, the behavior of those clients, studies show, is almost exclusively online. That means that they're going to be going to Google, they're going to be going to Psychology Today and clicking over into your website, and it's on the website that they're going to make a decision about you. Maybe they heard about you from their physician, maybe they heard about you from a friend, or they saw you on social media, but it is your website that will actually lead them to go ahead and say, yep, this is the therapist for me, this is who I want to work with, and to call you, to email you, and to ultimately become a regular paying client, right? And that is the goal here. So we talk a lot about websites for that reason, because we want you to be really, really equipped here. Hey, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. We really want to make sure that your website is doing its job, right? Is pulling its weight and is helping people see that you're the therapist for them. And if you're not the therapist for them, that we're go ahead and, asking them nicely to move on, in the sense that we're being so focused about who we want to reach that we're not worried about the people that don't fit inside of our ideal client. That's really the ideal situation that we're trying to get to here. And today what we're going to be talking about are how you can keep people on your website. So we're not talking about SEO here. We're not talking about social media or Psychology Today. We're talking about when someone's on your website, how do we maximize that? So the 4 mistakes that cause clients to leave your website, the first one is just really, really simple. Quite frankly, all of these are simple. But the very first reason, the very first mistake you might be making on your website is that these people, your clients, can't tell what you do. When someone decides that they want to look for therapy, when they have reached the tipping point, right? They had that big blow up with their spouse, or they were finally talked to by their boss about their productivity at work because their depression is so bad. Whatever that is, they have reached a tipping point in their life, and all of a sudden they need a solution to their problems. And you know what they want in order to solve those problems? You know what they know they need in order to get to that solution? They need an expert. And that's what they're looking for. So if they land on your website and they can't tell what it is that you do, who it is that you serve, what it is that you specialize in, then they're going to keep looking for the expert that can, right? They're about to hand over their hard-earned money, whether or not you take insurance or a private pay. They're about to hand over their hard-earned money, hours out of their week. They're about to get vulnerable with someone, and they need to do that with someone that they can ultimately trust has the expertise to help them get to the life that they want to live. So what does that actually look like on your website? What might you be doing that is preventing people from being able to tell, what it is that you do? You're using inspirational quotes instead of describing your practice. If I see more than one Brene Brown quote on a website, my ears kind of start to perk up, like maybe we aren't using this real estate well, because that's what your website is. It's real estate, and we need to capitalize on it. We need that to be really, really profitable real estate for you. And inspirational quotes, inspirational images that someone has to scroll past just to be like, okay, but are you an expert in depression? That's keeping them from understanding what it is that you do. maybe you're just not calling out the specific problems your person is facing. Maybe you're not talking about the fact that they got talked to by their job, the fact that weekends are literally just spent in bed, they barely get out, and they are only barely functioning throughout the work week. Whatever those unique problems are, if you're not talking about those, then you're not showing them, hey, I get you. I'm such an expert in this space that I know what it is that you're facing right now. So what's the solution here? So the first mistake, which is that they can't tell what you do. What's the solution? The solution is to call out your niche, your ideal client, your specialty at the very top of your homepage, and then continue talking about it throughout your site. Remind people of what it is that you specialize in, because they may see it on the, at the very top of your homepage and start reading your website and clicking into different pages. They might not remember. Don't hesitate to repeat yourself. That is a really, really core marketing strategy, is just making sure that you're reinforcing the same thing. So talk about your niche. Be confident in it and make it super, super clear. Ask probing questions in your your website copy that show them you're the expert. Ask if they just got talked to by their boss. Ask if they finally had that huge blow up with their spouse and they feel alone in their marriage. Are you ready to not feel like you're walking on eggshells every single time you go home? Those types of questions are what connect with these people and that show them, hey, I am the expert you're looking for, and I know what it is that you're facing. So that's that first mistake, that they can't tell what you do. If this is a very, very easy one to solve. So if you're looking at your website, you're like, maybe people don't know, then I just want you to get really, really crystal clear. Just call these things out. You don't have to be kitschy or cute. You can just be very straightforward about who it is that you specialize in, what it is that makes your practice unique, and how you serve people in a really great way. The second mistake that you make and that are causing clients to leave your website is that they can't relate to you. And I see this a lot on private practice websites. I've reviewed hundreds of them, and it breaks my heart every time because I know that the therapist behind that website is awesome at what they do. This is never a question of the quality of the therapy you provide or how good you are in this profession. It's just that you're not coming across that way. And so people coming to therapy, just like they're looking for an expert in their problems, they're also looking for connection, right? They need a safe place that feels trustworthy, where they know that they can be vulnerable about literally the most sensitive topics in their entire life. You yourself as a therapist, you know how vital relationship is in order for therapy to be effective. And so the really cool thing about a website is it's your first chance to start cultivating a relationship. You can literally start to connect with these potential clients before they even pick up the phone. But if you're not doing that and all of a sudden you feel cold and distant and overly formal, all because you're trying to be like authoritative, then all of a sudden they just feel like they can't relate to you, and they're going to move on to a therapist that exudes the warmth and the connection that they're ultimately looking for. So this looks like maybe you don't use any you language on your website. That is where you're asking those probing questions, where you're literally using the word Y-O-U in your website copy that are allowing these people to see themselves on the page, right? It makes it feel conversational. It makes it feel like there's connection, right? The other huge thing that I see way too many private practitioners do is talk about themselves in the third person. If you are a private practitioner, this is different if you're a group practice, but if you are a private practitioner, your entire website should use I when you're talking about yourself. Your about page should not be Shirley Smith, the therapist. It should be, hi, I'm Shirley, and I'm an expert in helping, couples overcome infidelity, heal from it, and move on to experience a new type of love that they've never seen before. That is what we're talking about when it comes to forming connection. So if you're looking at your website and maybe you click over into your about page and you're like, oh yeah, this sounds like I'm a speaker at some crazy conference, not someone that wants to connect one-on-one with someone because they're talking in this overly formal third person. That's a really easy adjustment to make it feel like you're making a bigger difference and a greater connection with these people as they're scrolling your website. Number 3, the 4 mistakes that cause clients to leave your website. Number 3 is that they're confused, is that they're like, this is too challenging. I don't know where to click. I don't know what I need to do. This is too much. And this is a really interesting marketing thing. And there are people that specialize just in this alone in their business when it comes to marketing. But the fact is that we as humans at our core still have very innate survival mechanisms, right? And one of those is energy conservation. And so it's really interesting to look at marketing studies that prove that we still, even when it comes to reading a therapist's website, want to use as little energy as possible to get what we need, right? To get to the solution that we're looking for. So if you're making it really hard for someone to know what to do on your website or to understand what you do, then you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them, right? We need to be really, really simple. We need to be really, really clear. And we need to be explicit, right, about what the next steps are so that people will actually go ahead and take them. Because if they don't know what they are, they're going to move on. They just are. Studies show us that. So what does this look like on a website? Maybe it's the use of jargon. You're using these insider terms like CBT and EMDR and evidence-based therapies and all of these types of things. Your client doesn't know what that is, and therefore they're having to use more effort in order to understand what it is that you're trying to say. You're using those words because you either think that they understand or because you think it makes you seem authoritative, like you know what you're talking about, when in fact all you're doing is just confusing people. All you're doing is preventing them from understanding the heart and the core of what it means to work with you, right? Maybe this means that you are not offering calls to action on your website. This is something I see on a lot of websites where there's not a place on every single page where I can go ahead and say, okay, yes, you're the therapist for me. They have to go digging for a contact page or for a form in order to schedule a consultation. Am I supposed to schedule, or do I have to do an appointment? What do I do? You're not telling them, right? They don't know, and all of a sudden they're confused. They're already a little bit overwhelmed and feeling a little bit vulnerable taking this big step to go to therapy. And now they're feeling even more kind of insecure because they don't even know what they're supposed to do, right? This is really interesting, especially for therapists, because a lot of times your client has never done this before. They probably have some ideas about what therapy consists of, but they have no idea, quite frankly, what they're doing. So tell them, answer the questions that are in their mind. And that is what's going to help reduce confusion and helping the last mistake we talked about, form connection, right? Because it's say, hey, I see you, I get you, here's what you need. And if I'm not the one for you, then at least you know this for the next therapist that you work with. That's a really, really powerful tactic on a lot of ways. So how do you fix this? If this is a problem that you think is happening on your website, make a really easy to navigate layout, right? We need your website to look good on mobile, which most of the sort of website platforms now will do. But we want someone, that searches for your website, lands on it on their phone, gets a really good experience, just like anyone that's on your desktop. It means that you have FAQ sections on your website. Maybe that's on your specialty pages, or maybe there's a dedicated page for your FAQs. But that's where you're answering, right, the questions that are in their mind, the things that clients often call wondering about. Put them on your website. Don't make them call in order to know those things, because this is what's going to continue to form relationship right from the get-go. Consider a how it works section where you offer just kind of the 3 steps. Hey, give me a call, schedule your free consultation, visit with me weekly for 8 to 12 weeks, if that's how long it usually is, and then live the life you want to live. And all of a sudden you've shown them, hey, just take that first step and we'll get you there, right? This is how it works. And avoid jargon, avoid all kind of clinical talk. If you have to use the term CBT, then use that, say cognitive behavioral therapy, and then in very, very plain, layman's English, say what CBT is. Always follow up any sort of insider term with a description of what it is, or better yet, don't use it at all. That is what you need to do when it comes to jargon and insider language. So that third mistake is simply that people are confused. Your potential client is landing on your website and they need a solution to their problems. They're looking for an expert, and now they don't know what to do. They have some questions, they feel insecure, and they're like, you know what, never mind. Maybe I don't need a therapist at all, or maybe I'm gonna go to a different one where I feel a little bit more comfortable, right? We don't wanna do that. So instead, fix these little things that are going on in your website and start to form that connection in a really important way. Okay, number 4, the 4th mistake that is causing clients to leave your website, I hate this one, is that you're telling them to. I was just having a website coaching call with a client, and I had done a complete audit of her entire website. I'd looked at every single word on her website. I'd given her recommendations on things to do. And at the very top menu of her website lives a resources page. And you click into that resources page, and there are 30, 40 different links to websites like womensmentalhealth.gov, or, I don't even remember everything that was on there, but there are literally tens of links leading off of her website. Now, when it comes to marketing, this is sort of a best practice in general. Linking to websites that are not your own are in general a big no-no. Two main reasons for that. Number one, it leads them off of your website. And when someone leaves your website, you risk them not coming back. Maybe they link off to mentalhealth.gov and then they get distracted and they forget where they were and they're like, I'll just start my search, over again. They go to Psychology Today and they land on someone else. All of a sudden we've lost them, right? Only because we sent them to a website that wasn't yours. The other thing, and the really, really important thing here, is that it shows them that you're not the expert in this. I'm not an expert in mental health. I'm not an expert in cognitive behavioral therapy. This website is, right? And if we've learned anything over these 4 mistakes we've talked about, is that people are looking for someone they can trust. And so we diminish trust when we say, hey, go look elsewhere, right? Go look somewhere else to learn what you want to learn, and then come back and you can work with me if you want. That doesn't build trust. So what's the solution that you do here, right? You avoid at almost all costs linking off of your website. The really interesting thing to think about here is the intent of someone that is reading mentalhealth.gov versus the intent of someone that's on your website. Going to mentalhealth.gov is going to be very educational. That's people that are looking to learn something. People on your website are looking to do something. So let's not get those two confused. Let's keep people focused on doing things on your website. Now, that's not to say there isn't a time and a place to link off of your website. If you want to link to the National Suicide Hotline so that someone has a resource in an emergency, do it. Absolutely. If you want to link off to a trusted association for one of the modalities you use, do it. Again, that shows people, hey, here are resources that you'll need, but I am still the expert in this space. If there is a topic you really, really want people to know about that you would like to link off to, instead write a blog post yourself about it and link to it there. Again, that's reinforcing the fact I know what I'm talking about. I'm an expert here. Stay with me. And then at the end of that blog post, you can say, hey, schedule your free consultation with me. And all of a sudden we've come full circle and someone is again brought back to doing something after they've learned something. So that 4th mistake, the one that just like breaks my heart the most, is that you're telling them to leave your site. You're telling them. I've learned that Brighter Vision, if you build your website through them, Brighter Vision's a great service in a lot of ways. Brighter Vision has some recommendations that I absolutely would not agree with. And one of them is out of the box, they'll give you that resources page. They will tell you to put all of these tens of links on your website. And all you're doing is helping all those other websites SEO. You're not actually helping your client, and you're definitely not helping yourself with that. So I strongly consider that you take a look at your website, and if there are places that you're just linking, remove it. It's simply not serving your ideal client, and it's not serving you. Instead, keep people that land there in order to go ahead and take the next step with you. That, my friends, are the 4 mistakes that are causing clients to leave your website. And they might feel a little bit overly simplified, or maybe they have been a true light bulb moment for you. That's wonderful. But either way, if you can avoid these 4 types of things, you're going to do a much better job of capitalizing on when someone lands there, right? We've done tons of other marketing trainings on how to get people to your site and all of those types of things. That's a whole other area of marketing. But when it comes to people that land there via Google search, via referral, via social media, via Psychology Today, whatever it is, let's make the most of it by avoiding these 4 things. Not being able to be clear about what it is that you do, not relating to your ideal client and forming initial connection, confusing your ideal client instead of inviting them to take the next step, and leading people off of your website when they should be staying there. Those are the 4 mistakes that I want you to flip the script on, start making changes in, and I promise, I legitimately promise, because all of the studies in marketing point this way, they prove these things, that if you can do these 4 things, you will get more conversions from your website of people saying, yes, that is the therapist for me, and I want to go ahead and work with him or her. I hope that this was helpful for you. Let me double check we don't have any questions. Yes, Katie, I hate when people talk in the 3rd person on the website. It feels so awkward. It really does. You're like, wait, I thought I was on. Okay, this just feels weird and uncomfortable. I'm going to move on, right? We want to avoid that. So friends, I hope that this was helpful. I love getting to talk about these things with you. If you have questions specifically about your website, if you're interested in that website coaching call or any other templates that can really help you do this on your website without having to start from scratch, visit the Private Practice Copy Shop, walkerstrategyco.com/shop. If you want a little bit more help there. But if this was all you needed, then I'm so grateful for that. Put these things into action and then share a link with us so that we can see these awesome improvements you've been making and you can start seeing results in your practice. I'll talk to you next week. Enjoy the weekend.